Good evening and welcome to Montgomery County's United in Service and Support Community webinar that will focus on nonprofit services, unemployment benefits, and constituent services. Thank you for joining us. I'm your moderator, Jordan Lindsay. Now, this is one of many webinars that is part of a series of informational sessions with elected leaders who are united in their efforts to support our residents during these challenging times. Now, today's host is Montgomery County Councilmember Dawn Lukey. Councilmember Lukey is joined by Bridget Howe, the Executive Director of Nonprofit Montgomery, Carolyn Balk, the Deputy Legislative Director for the Office of the Secretary with the Maryland Department of Labor, Anne Marie Gunning, the Reemployment Workshare and Trade Program Manager for the Maryland Department of Labor Division of Unemployment Insurance, Ann Travis, Claims Administrator with the Maryland Department of Labor, and Kevin Mack, the Director of Constituent Services for U.S. Senator Angela Also Brooks. We will hear from them in just a few moments. We also have questions that have come in through our website, and we'll be asking residents to share questions using the Q&A function. Now, some of these questions will be answered today, and others will be used to help shape our next webinar focused on the resources that residents need most. Now, the Q&A feature on Zoom can be located at the bottom of your Zoom screen in the toolbar. For the panelists, we kindly ask that you mute yourself when it is not your turn to provide remarks. We also have simultaneous interpretation services available from English to Spanish for those who may need it. Participants here on Zoom can hear Spanish interpretation by selecting the interpretation button at the bottom of their Zoom screens. Now, this will be the globe-shaped button located in the toolbar, then select interpretation in Spanish. Now, I'll go ahead and toss it to my colleague, Marcela Rodriguez, to translate how to access the Spanish channel. Marcela, to you.
Thank you, Jordan. Muchísimas gracias. Buenas noches a todos. Gracias por acompañarnos. Durante la sesión informativa contaremos con servicios de interpretación simultánea del inglés al español. Para quienes lo necesiten, los participantes en Zoom deben seleccionar el botón de interpretación en la parte inferior de sus pantallas. Este será el botón en forma de globo ubicado en la barra de herramientas y posteriormente seleccionar la opción de interpretación en español. Muchísimas gracias. Jordan, back to you.
Thank you so much, Marcela. Now I'll go ahead and toss it to Montgomery County Councilmember Dawn Lukey for remarks. Councilmember Lukey, to you.
Thank you so much, Jordan, and thank you, Marcela, for all of your help with everything. And welcome, everyone. And thank you for joining us this evening. I know that when we first embarked on this journey and we first started the series, we were all feeling overwhelmed, anxious, and worried about the unpredictability of what was happening. And here we still are, finding ourselves navigating that, but perhaps with a different lens towards how to navigate that unpredictability. And one of the things that I am most proud about in terms of both representing Montgomery County and being a mom and a resident here in Montgomery County is how much we care about one another and how much we take our time to lend a helping hand to those who need it. And that is exactly what is called upon right now. And so tonight we're going to hear from Bridget Howe, our Executive Director of Nonprofit Montgomery, and learn about the nonprofit space here in Montgomery County, which is vast. And our partners at the State Department of Labor who cover our unemployment insurance program for the state of Maryland, and my colleague at the federal level, Kevin Mack, who handles constituent services for Senator Also Brooks and myself. But the point being is that we all come from a philosophy of there is no wrong door. Right. And so you should be able to reach out and connect and then be able to find the help that you need when you need it, and to have someone help you navigate, even if that's not the right spot that you reached out to first, right? So with that, I think we all need to recognize none of us can do it alone. We're all in this ship together. Sometimes it feels massive and sometimes it feels like a tiny rowboat. We all got to row in the same direction, and we can. And with that, I am proud to have Bridget Howe with us tonight. She is a mom, a community advocate, and in her professional role, Executive Director of Nonprofit Montgomery. And with that, I would love for you to take it away, Bridget.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, council member. I am so excited to be here to share some just general information about the nonprofit sector in Montgomery County. And also with the slides, there are links in that to resources that people can access directly if they find those helpful. So we can move on to the next slide. Just to introduce Nonprofit Montgomery, first of all, we are a small but mighty organization that is an alliance. Of course, my cat walks across just as I'm starting to talk, because it would not be a Zoom call without that. We're a small but mighty alliance of nonprofits that provide services to Montgomery County's million-plus residents. What we do to do that is we build capacity for our member organizations. We help them grow strong operationally, things relating to finance, human resources, IT, anything that helps them operate more efficiently and more effectively. We bring organizations together to discuss issues that could impact organizational health. And we are a source of information about the nonprofit sector.
Okay, it looks like Bridget might have frozen a little bit. We
Yeah.
a few moments, and I'll toss it to Councilmember Lukey if you.
Yeah. Thank you. And I was just going to, I had made a note on my paper when her cat walked across the screen to remind everyone we're all real people. We have real lives, real everything. And right now, Mother Nature is doing a number on us. And so I know a number of us live in the zone that received a tornado warning just a few moments ago before we started the webinar. And I do know that in Bridget's neighborhood, they were having some connectivity issues. So perhaps we can switch gears and shift over to our friends from the Department of Labor to go ahead and talk about our unemployment insurance program and what you need to know. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Caroline, Anne Marie, and Anne.
Hi, everybody. My name is Caroline Baug. I serve as Deputy Legislative Director for the Maryland Department of Labor. I'm happy to be here, and thank you to Councilmember Lukey and all the council staff who helped put this on. I'm joined by my colleagues, Ann Gunning and Ann Travis, who are going to lead on the department's behalf to talk about unemployment insurance, and I'll try to monitor the chat if anybody has any questions. And I'll put my contact information out there so everybody can find the department if they need us. With that, I'll pass to you, Anne.
Thank you, Caroline. Good afternoon, everyone. Like Caroline said, I'm Ann Gunning from the Maryland Department of Labor. I work in the Unemployment Insurance Division, and I've been tasked to help people navigate through the federal dislocation event and helping them file their unemployment insurance claims. So at Maryland Unemployment Insurance, we are here to help you because when you are dislocated, there's a loss of income. And in Maryland, we provide temporary financial assistance to individuals who have lost their job through no fault of their own. And this benefit offers partial income replacement while we help you find new employment. Eligible claimants can receive benefits from $50 to $430 a week, and that's for 26 weeks. Your claim is effective for 1 year. However, you're eligible for 26 weeks in that year. And again, our benefit amount is anywhere from $50 to $430 a week, and it depends on your wages in quarters to determine how much you're eligible for. UI benefits are subject to both federal and state taxes, and unemployment is a two-part process. You have to get your claim going and get it brought up and started, but you also have to file claim certs each week in order to receive those payments. So really important, claimants must file claim certs every week to keep their claim open and active and to request payment, even while we're working on making a determination. Should I apply for unemployment? Yes. If you are dislocated and you need and you're entitled to unemployment, that's what it's there for, to help you bridge the gap until you find employment. So most definitely, if you are dislocated and you've lost your job to no fault of your own, we do recommend you file. As a federal civilian employee, you should apply in Maryland if your last official duty station, and this would be listed on your SF-50, is in Maryland. Or if your last official duty station on your SF-50 or personal service contract is outside of the United States, you have returned to the United States, and you reside in Maryland at the time of your application. And if you have regular, non-federal employment in Maryland after your federal civilian employment and you reside in Maryland at the time of your application. So basically, your claim follows where you work, or if you're working from home, where you live. So you've seen in Maryland. So it's for Maryland residents. That is when you file against Maryland. You should not apply in Maryland if your last official duty station is any other state or district, including the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, or the Virgin Islands. Or if you worked remotely from Maryland, you must still apply in the state of your duty station, even if you never physically worked there. So if you're federal, you're going to apply in the duty station, even if you never physically worked there. It gets a little confusing with people working remotely and those people working actually in the office. And you should not apply if your last official duty station is outside of the United States and you do not reside in Maryland. So it gets a little tricky. So I would definitely make sure you look over that part to make sure what situation fits you, to make sure you're filing your claim in the correct spot. Next. When should I apply? In most cases, you should apply the Sunday after your last physical day of work. If your last day of work is early in the week, you may apply the day after your last day of work to request partial benefits for that week. So if you work you get dislocated in the middle of the week, we're going to ask you how much you earned during that week. And our weeks are Sunday through Saturday. So say you get dislocated or let go on a Tuesday, we're going to ask you how much you earned on that Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Therefore, you might get a partial payment. In most cases, you should apply the Sunday after your last day of work if you are no longer physically working but are still receiving paid administrative leave. You should not apply until after you stop receiving paid administrative leave. So that's a bit confusing for a lot of people. People, once they find out that they're let go, they'll go and they'll file unemployment even though they're on administrative leave. If you're receiving payment still, then you would not be eligible for unemployment. So you should wait until you're no longer receiving any type of payment. Next. Information and documents to have ready. This is really important because this is some of the holdup, because we're having some difficulties getting some of the documentation we need to process your claim. So really important, gather the following information and documents. Personal information. This would be your social security number, your date of birth, telephone number, email address, residential and mailing address. If you have an alien registration number, please have that ready. That's if you are not a United States citizen. If you're going to claim dependents allowance, you must have the name, date of birth, and social security number for all dependents under the age of 16. Employment history. You must have the name, address, and telephone number for all employers you worked for in the last 18 months. Also, please have your employment start and end dates. You must also have your DD-214 if you were serving in the military, and your SF-8 or SF-50 if you were a federal civilian employee. Also, personal service contract or SF-30 if you were a personal service contractor, a RIF letter, a severance letter, or a termination notice if available. These are all really helpful so we can go ahead and process your claim as soon as we get this without waiting on anything from the federal government. Next. How to apply for Maryland unemployment insurance. Maryland uses the Beacon online systems to allow claimants to apply for benefits. It's a great system, and you can actually go in and look at it and see every step of the way where you are in the process. You can access the Beacon system at beacon.labor.maryland.gov. You can also apply for UI benefits filing an initial claim by calling 667-207-6520 Monday through Friday from 8 to 4. However, I strongly encourage you to follow it through Beacon so that way you can see where you are in the process and if anything is needed. And you can keep on checking on to see if your check's been released, if you have any issues or anything still needs to be resolved or we need any data from you. Note from former federal civilian employees, file in the state where your duty station was located. This should be in your SF50 box 39. If your duty station was outside of the U.S., file in your state of residence. If you were a personal service contractor, your personal service contract should list your duty station. This is very important because we want to make sure you're filing in the right state. Next. Stay informed to get information. You can always visit our Maryland Unemployment webpage, and that's at mdunemployment.com for guides, frequently asked questions, and up-to-date resources. You can scan the QR code, and it will take you right to our webpage. And we are constantly putting new information on as we get it, and new assistance, different programs you can utilize, and it's our most updated information. You can call 667-207-6520 to speak with the claim staff if you have any questions Monday through Friday from 8 to 4. I think that's it for me.
Thank you. And there is something that if we could, it ended up going just to the host and panelists that Caroline provided, and we can copy and paste that and get it out so it goes out to everyone. There's some additional relevant information in there for folks to check out. So with that, I want to let you know we've been joined. I didn't get to announce at the beginning, but we've been joined by Chief of Staff to Councilmember Marilyn Balcom, the lovely Lisa Mandel-Trupp. And also we have joining us Sierra Gray from Councilmember Lori Ann Sales' office. So thank you, ladies, for joining us this evening. I'm going to turn it over now to Kevin Mack, Director of Constituent Services for U.S. Senator Angela Alsobrooks. But just, to make sure everybody knows, not everybody knows you personally, although you know lots of people. Kevin is a Capitol Hill veteran, having also served for years with U.S. Senator Ben Cardin. So with that, Kevin.
Thank you so much, Council Member. Again, my name is Kevin Mack. I am Director of Constituent Services for Senator Angela Alsobrooks. It's a pleasure to be here, and I want to thank you, Councilmember Lutke, for putting this together, and for the Montgomery County Council for their dedication and commitment to helping the constituents in some of the most challenging times I think we have seen in a long, long time. This type of venue is so important for people to know that, there are people out there that care, that are invested in making sure that we make government work, and it's vitally important to have these sessions, and I'm glad to be here. Just a little bit of background on myself. I was a former district director for Congressman John Delaney, and then prior to that, I worked for Senator Cardin as his regional director for Montgomery County, and I have the distinct pleasure of working for the new freshman senator from Maryland, Senator Alsobrooks. We're in the process of getting, we're still a new office, we're still getting a bunch of things up and running, but we do have our constituent services team on board and handling any type of casework related issues, and I just put the link to our website there in the chat. Any casework related issues to federal agencies. We have there's a lot going on, and I know there are a lot of people that are concerned, particularly federal employees who have been put on administrative leave, people who are having difficulty getting their VA benefits or their Social Security. We're here to help any way that we can. And I think it's also important, sometimes people get confused. My experience has been when they reach out, they're like, oh, the senator can fix everything, and we will try to help and direct you in the right, put you in the right direction and right place. But we specifically, our task is to deal with anything related to federal service. And particularly right now, we're seeing a lot of inquiries from federal employees who have been RIFed, questioning the legality of the RIFs. One thing that I can say is they were talking about the unemployment issue. One option that we're available to do is if you're not getting the response or the paperwork you need from your federal agency, please reach out to us and we can contact the federal agency on your behalf to get you that documentation so you can file for unemployment. One of the things that we do is we are trying to make sure that we are a paperless operation, that we direct everybody to our portal, which is alsobrooks.senate.gov services/casework. And there's an online PRF there. There's a privacy release form for general inquiries, and then we have an immigration privacy release, a USCIS privacy release. If you are contacting us about an immigration issue, you need to fill out the USCIS privacy release. We need to all of that information filled out correctly, and you can sign that online and it's submitted to us. Our goal is once your PRF is submitted that there is a 1 to 2 business day turnaround for us to get back to you. With one caveat right now, we can advocate for you and we will continue to advocate for all the constituents in Maryland to the federal government. We are seeing a challenging we're experiencing a lot of challenging getting a response from the specific agencies right now due to DOGE and some of the cuts they made. They have gone in and cut congressional affairs who handle our inquiries, and then they've also cut human resources who actually handle some of the specific personnel related issues. So there is a lag time right now in getting responses back from agencies. We're being as diligent as possible. We're being following up as much as we can, but we are running into certain roadblocks that everybody's running into. Our goal is to help untangle the bureaucratic knot that's out there, and we will be as dedicated and fierce as an advocate as we possibly can. And we will get a response back to you from the agency. It may not be the response you want, but we will do our best to get a response back from an agency on your behalf. The other areas in which we can help, and this is where, again, you can go online to our privacy release and fill out a general privacy release, is anything dealing with the Social Security. A lot of people are contacting us about Social Security issues. We just recently were able to get a constituent back pay of almost $33,000 in Social Security benefits they were entitled to. So, certain parts of the government are still working, and we are able to get responses back. We are able to assist with any issues regarding the VA, your IRS, taxpayer advocate services. We want to make sure that we can at least get some sort of answer for you and advocate for you to any of those agencies. And we strongly encourage you to reach out to our office. We also can be reached. We are based in Baltimore. And the next slide has our Baltimore contact information. We're 100 South Charles Street in Suite 1710. My email is listed there, and so is the main number if you have any specific questions about casework on the federal side. And how to approach things, or if you're having trouble filling out our online privacy release. I want you to know, even if you have a call about a state issue or a county issue or something, while we cannot necessarily address it, it's out of our jurisdiction, what we will do is we will make sure that we connect you with the appropriate people and elected officials in your jurisdiction, and to make sure that they assist you with your concerns. And we will also, if you don't hear back, which I know in Montgomery County, we have excellent public servants, and they are constantly in touch with their constituents, but we're also happy to follow up with those offices to make sure that you get a response back to your concerns. again, we're a new office. We're still staffing up on a certain areas. So I hope everybody will forgive us if we're not right back to you with all the phone calls. But we are making sure that if you fill out a privacy release, we will be back in touch with you within 1 to 2 business days once we have processed that privacy release. We are committed to serving the constituents with empathy, compassion, and responsiveness in these difficult times. I do want to make one comment about ICE. I know there's a lot of fear right now about immigration and customs enforcement. We have been getting a lot of requests about that. This is a very challenging time. I would encourage everybody that is dealing with immigration issues, one, to reach out to the office to let us know, but also engage with legal services, that either pro bono legal services or any other type of legal advocacy group that can help you with this, because we are coming up against a brick wall right now in terms of getting responses from ICE on people that have been detained. And it is a very unnerving situation. People are scared, but please reach out to us and we will be able to talk to you about what we can do and what we're limited in doing. But we are here for you. And I just wanted to say on behalf of the senator, she just appreciates so much everything that Montgomery County does and the services that are provided. And thank you, Councilwoman Lutke, for putting this on. It is really a pleasure to be here and an honor to be here.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you so much for participating with us tonight. And we are trying to see if Bridget will be able to rejoin us. And so we will pivot back to her if she is able to get on. But for now, if you could put my slides up, I'm happy to talk about constituent services at the County Council. So as noted, we are out and about in the community. We are very in-person accessible. And this is a time where I think it's important to know, and piggybacking off of some of what Kevin said, this is an extraordinary time of legal crazy making. That's the best phrase I can come up with for it, right? And that being said, most people can't navigate that. And there are, I mean, the most talented lawyers we have in this country who are fighting the best fight over in the judicial branch on our behalf. And it is still outrageously challenging because we're in uncharted territory, right? So a lot of this is so novel and so new in terms of how does it work or mesh inside the law, that it's challenging for folks to navigate. And we want to do our part to help with the things that we know we can help with. So with that, next slide, wanted to talk to you a little bit about sort of what we handle day to day at the council. So whether it's my office or any of my other 10 colleagues, we all have daily calls, emails related to constituent services, right? And these are kind of the hottest topics that we typically get. They're not unique to the current situation. These are things that were always happening. But we're seeing more of certain things, right? So if folks are losing their jobs, or then housing insecurity and food insecurity become two higher priorities because you're wondering how you're going to be able to keep things afloat as you're managing through this time. So we are certainly here for that. The basics of the basic services in that second bullet that you expect local government to take care of. And I note on road repairs and traffic safety, two big issues. You don't have to worry about whether it's a county road or a state road. And that is a huge thing because it's not something that the regular person would think of. Just call us or email us or let us know. We'll figure out whether it's a county road or a state road. And if it's not a county road and it is a state road, we are going to get in touch with the State Highway Administration on your behalf, right? Because we shouldn't have to make it harder for you to get the assistance that you need. And we have contacts inside those agencies who we deal with all the time because we have repeat engagement with them that, you know, our residents wouldn't. So we want to be able to help be that conduit for that. And on the bottom piece, I very much take to heart the need to help people understand exactly what local government does, what does state government do, what does the federal government do, and how they can engage and have their voice heard at any of those levels. I actually go around and do a presentation about it for anybody who wants me to teach about that. But I believe that knowledge is power. That's one of the reasons why I love the fact that the council puts on these webinars for folks, because whether you are or are not a displaced federal employee, there's something you can glean from this, right? There's something you can take out of this. So next slide. So we will connect with our other state and federal partners on a daily basis. And just to be clear, inside my council district alone, touches upon, I believe, 7 different state legislative districts. So there's a lot of our Montgomery County state delegation that I work with on a regular basis. And sometimes somebody might call my office and they live right on the edge of my district and somebody else's on the council, right? This has happened a couple of times, in particular with my district and Councilmember Mink, because part of Councilmember Mink's district used to be represented at the state by my husband. They see my last name and they just call our office. That's okay, because we'll make sure it gets to Councilmember Mink's office, and it's our job to work together collaboratively as a body as well. So those are just some of the ways that we work together to serve the people. Next slide. And as I mentioned, you can call, you can email. I say in person, not because people typically walk into the council office building and find us, but because we are out and about in the community. So it is not uncommon for any of us to be in the grocery store and someone comes up with the thing they want to talk about, right? That's okay. And same for, at sporting events with my kids. There's often a hot topic that folks wanna chat about, and that's okay. We will do that work for you in finding out who handles what and how to make the things happen. Then we will get back to you, or do a warm handoff, as we say, maybe via an email to put you in touch directly with the person in the other agency or entity. And if you've gotten information from somewhere else, but you feel like you need something from us, go ahead and send it along. Let us see it. Let us talk to you about it and figure out what we can do and how we can help. Next slide. And that is our contact info. So all of the council members have a webpage like this, and all of our email addresses follow the same format. We also all have newsletters that we put out. And I say that because I think there's a lot of value in each of our newsletters, right? Everybody has different things that they prioritize or focus on. And it's not district specific for those of us who serve as district council members. Sometimes it's just an issue. Like, for example, I work on our public safety and health and human services committees. So sometimes I'm highlighting something extra in that arena. But in any event, please do sign up for our newsletters, and there's a lot of info in there that you can use to find out about programs, benefits, services, and our nonprofits across the county that could serve you. And with that, I don't know if Bridget ever made it back. No.
Not yet. If she does before Q&A, I can circle back, Councilmember Lukey, but I don't see it yet.
Sure. Well, I just I wanna say I apologize for that, but I know that the slides for all of us are going to be available to all of you. And I know that Bridget's contact information is on there as well. So you can always follow up directly with Nonprofit Montgomery as well.
Great. Thank you so much, Councilmember Lukey. And for the virtual audience, as Councilmember Lukey said, there are helpful links and contact info located there in the chat if you take a look. Just a friendly reminder that we received a lot of questions from residents on similar issues, so I'll be reading some submitted questions that reflect a broad part of the community. Please also note that all questions that have been submitted will be captured and used to help us plan upcoming webinars. Now I'll move on to questions and comments from residents. Up first, the questions about resources and benefits for impacted federal workers, followed by local constituent services. Number one, can you elaborate on the new federal worker emergency loan program? Not sure if somebody from the Maryland Department of Labor, a rep, would like to answer that.
Yes. So Maryland offers the Federal Worker Emergency Loan Program for individuals in Maryland who have been terminated from federal employment due to layoffs, relocations, or similar circumstances beyond their control. You must be a Maryland resident. You must have been terminated from the federal employment or after January 1st, 2025. The termination must be due to a mass layoff, relocation, closure, or similar circumstances. And you must have been terminated within the last 6 months. You must be experiencing financial hardship, such as difficulty paying for essential expenses like housing, utilities, or childcare. The loan amount is only $700, but it's interest-free. The repayment is 180 days after the loan agreement is signed, with a possible 90-day extension if there's a continuation of hardship. Our application is online. If you Google Maryland's Federal Worker Employment Emergency Loan Program, I'm sorry, I don't know the website offhand. And the purpose is it provides emergency financial assistance to mitigate the impact of the federal dislocation.
Great, thank you so much, Anne. Another question that might be helpful from the Maryland Department of Labor. You might have said this in your presentation, but what is the unemployment compensation for federal employees, or UCFE?
Okay, the amount is the same as it is for everyone, and it ranges anywhere from $50 to $430 per week. However, it is taxed both federally and state.
Great, thank you so much. Next question. What makes Montgomery County unique when it comes to nonprofit services, unemployment benefits, and constituent services compared to other local jurisdictions? And anybody is feel free to answer that.
So I think, especially since we don't, the unemployment benefits is a state function, but in order to make sure you're getting them or getting to them or getting the right forms, that's something that I believe that we as elected officials do a good job of in trying to connect folks together. Also, that our nonprofits, and I want to give a shout out to our faith-based partners as well, because we in Montgomery County built such a network, not just within our nonprofit community, but in getting information out and learning how to get information out to folks via folks like our faith-based partners, and our school system. Also very good at pushing out information that's helpful and connect to local resources. So it depends on what part of the county you're in. There may be, like, you may go to the Up County Hub, for example, for certain things. You may go to the Muslim Community Center's medical clinic. And so, we're able to help you understand who does what and when, and who can best serve you. And also, because I need to be candid about this, our public transit issues are different depending on what part of the county you're in. And so, certainly for those of us in the Up County, like myself or Councilmember Balcom, we have to help folks in a slightly different way who may lack access to their own transportation, but we can help. So please do reach out. But we have such a broad array of nonprofit service providers that we're able, and they work well with one another too. They do talk to one another regularly, which is great.
That's a great point. Thank you so much, Councilmember Lee. Looks like we can move on to the next question. Regarding constituent services on a state level, if someone is having difficulties with the federal government, how can Senator Also Brooks's staff help? Can you help contact federal agencies on someone's behalf to obtain information or attempt to resolve individual problems? Kevin, I didn't know if you wanted to comment on that.
Yes, I mean that's exactly what we do. We, if you are, we did have a constituent who reached out to us today who was have not gotten their Social Security check in the last 3 months, and we reached out to the Rockville Social Security office, and we put an inquiry there, and with somebody who has not received their benefits for 3 months, I mean that most people that's they're on a fixed income. And that is life or death on that front. So we put a high priority on that, reached out to the local office to try and get the ball moving. It might have just been a simple clerical error, or there might be another issue that we're not aware of. But we will do our best to untangle that and find out what happens and get those that benefit flowing again. As I said, we will advocate as passionately as we can, but sometimes the answers is not exactly what people hope for, and there are days I know, particularly now where we are in this situation with the federal government, I wish I could wave a magic wand and make a lot of these things change automatically, but it's a tough slog. But we have a very tenacious, energetic, and enthusiastic team that is really determined to make sure that the voices of the constituents of the state of Maryland are heard on the federal level.
Great. Very well said. Thank you so much, Kevin. Next question. Federal employees that have been impacted by federal agency reductions in force may be receiving severance pay as part of separation, but can they still apply for unemployment insurance? I didn't know if a Maryland Department of Labor rep wanted to comment on that, or anybody else who'd like to comment is welcome.
I can go ahead and comment. Severance pay is a bar to your benefits in Maryland, so you can apply, but we strongly encourage you to let that payment allocate itself out before applying, so that way we don't have to wait to make a determination. Because if you do indicate you're getting severance, we are going to stop your claim and get some information about how long that severance is and how long it will last. So we do recommend, if you are receiving continuation pay, severance, administrative pay, that you do wait. However, some people like to go ahead and apply, and then we would just have to adjudicate that issue.
Great. Thank you so much. Looks like are nonprofit employees in Maryland eligible for unemployment benefits if they meet a certain criteria? I know you kind of mentioned this during the presentation, but if we can elaborate on some of those qualifications just so viewers can kind of understand that, if possible.
Sure. So people that are eligible to collect unemployment are those that their employer pays into the unemployment bucket system. If you're a 1099, you are not eligible because you are not paying into unemployment insurance. So if you are paying into it, then you are eligible. If you worked in Maryland and lost your job to no fault of your own, you are you're most likely eligible. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I think that's great. Just the eligibility, just so people are clear about that. So thank you so much, Ann. That was
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Looks like we're narrowing down to our last few questions here. I know you talked about this, Councilmember Lukey, but can a Montgomery County resident reach out to your office for a question or concern not related to the county? For example, if their question is about a state or federal issue, is your office able to assist?
Yes, absolutely. And I very much believe that folks shouldn't have to try to analyze whose bucket it goes into. So go ahead and reach out to us and we can help navigate that, either by pointing you in the right direction if it's something that you can do yourself, or if it's something you think you need us to do a little more directly, we will. And so we're happy to do that. So for example, I was out volunteering one day delivering medically tailored meals it was like Meals on Wheels, but it's a different program that does medically tailored meals for homebound individuals who either have chronic illness or are recovering. And I had one delivered very close to my house. And the gentleman had had a stroke and he was a veteran, and his benefits for his rehab through Medicare had run out, and the VA was supposed to be picking it up. But this was all at the outset of the new administration, and everything was upended at the VA, right? So rather than have them, because they'd been trying and trying, we took it on and worked with a federal partner to help get that resolved, because that's not something that, again, the patient could deal with themselves. Their adult daughter who was caring for them was struggling to navigate, so we took that off their plate for them, right? That's the kind of thing that we can do, even though I can't directly deal with VA benefits.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Lukey, for that much helpful information. It looks like that's all the time we have for questions this evening. Just a friendly reminder that the next United and final United in Service Support Community webinar will be hosted by Councilmember Marilyn Balcom on Wednesday, July 23rd at 7 p.m. And the topic will be on how to pursue new opportunities advancement through workforce training and certification programs. Now I'll go ahead and toss it back to Councilmember Lukey for closing remarks. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jordan. And thank you all for being panelists tonight. Thank you, everyone, for persevering with our weather challenges out there. And again, please remember that we are here to help. We mean that when we say that, and that even if certain parts of the government are not functioning well, we're going to keep on keeping on, and we're here to do the best we can for all of you and help you through these difficult times. We know that the road may be long, but I got a good pair of shoes on. Let's keep walking so we can get this done. Please do reach out if you have other questions that I can be helpful with in particular. I am eager to assist. So thank you, Jordan, and thank you all for being here with us tonight.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Lukey. And members of the virtual audience, please take a look at your screen right now where you'll see a list of local helpful resources that we covered this evening. Thank you so much again for joining, and have a great evening.